Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with a Westworld Season 3, Episode 8 breakdown, where I look at what happened in this episode, predict and theorize what I think can happen, and also I'm going to dive into the post-credit scenes. And first, I really want to talk about Dolores. And we saw Dolores' mission pivot to what we were expecting. Instead of her completely tearing down the world and destroying humanity like Bernard predicted, she chartered a different path for humanity. But in order for humanity to thrive, their world needs to be taken down, much like how Westworld had to be destroyed before the host became conscious and started to escape. And in her effort to try and save humanity and create a new world for the hosts to live in peace, she ended up writing her own ending. She always had to be connected to Rehoboam in order to give Caleb the access to Rehoboam. So it was almost a foregone conclusion that in order for Dolores to give humanity a chance to start over, she would have to sacrifice who she is. And we learn what exactly that strategy is. It was a strategy imposed by Solomon, the artificial intelligence that was created by Sirach's brother. And the strategy that she's using is the last one that he created. And what we see is this path is the end of human civilization. There's going to be mass casualty events across the years, and those events will lead to the complete collapse of human civilization. And it was a means to an end. Humanity would always end up collapsing their own civilization. But Sirach's brother saw that that was a foregone conclusion and developed this last strategy. But from the ground of that destroyed civilization, humanity may be able to evolve. And I think the core of that is the outlier. I think humanity will evolve by most of them dying out, but the ones that live are going to be the critical thinkers, the outliers, the ones who can change their core code from survival to something different. And I think we'll see Caleb taking that charge to protect the outliers as well as try and make new ones. There's still a lot of people who are trapped inside of that facility. So I think one of the first steps next season is for Caleb to let them go. And just like how Dolores picked Caleb to lead humanity to a better place, it seems like she also tried to help Maeve take that same path, to be the representative of the hosts. When they were fighting, Dolores refused to kill her. She gave her the freedom to make a choice and pick a side, and she did. And Dolores was correct, and now she's aligned human and hosts together through Maeve and Caleb, and together they can start restructuring this new world. And we'll see that adapt and change until 50 to 125 years in the future, human civilization will collapse and they can build this new world. And that new world holds onto one person. Dolores put faith in one person, Bernard. She trusted Bernard more than anyone because she was the one who helped create him. So she ended up giving Bernard a gift. First, he was able to see Lauren, Arnold's wife, the woman who he shares so many stories with. And they reminisced about Charlie. And he was finally able to make peace with Charlie's death, and he can carry the memory of Charlie throughout his whole life. But I think the really important thing with Dolores having Bernard meet Lauren is to solidify who Bernard is. He is not a human, nor he is a host. He is both human and host. He is Bernard the host who wants to help his own kind, but he's also based off of Arnold the human. And the love he had for Charlie and Lauren is real. And this just solidified Bernard's motivations, and it was Dolores validating Bernard that those feelings are okay. Because he's the tie between human and host that they need in order to build this new world. But then the last step of that is seeing what this new world is, or how to achieve it. And that's why Dolores left the encryption key with Bernard. He is tasked to building the perfect world for humans and host because he is both. And that's why we see him journey to the Valley Beyond. This is a place where hosts can build their own world, untapped by the flaws of humanity, the core drive of survival and procreation. And it's a place where the hosts can finally build something new. And that's the answer Bernard's going to find to the question Dolores left for him. What happens after the end of the world? And he's going to discover a utopian host society that is basically unrecognizable to us. It's where everyone is happy, fulfilled, and free. And he woke up understanding that answer. Covered in dust and far in the future, Bernard now knows how to build this new world. And it seems like at this time, it's the perfect time for him to come back. Because human civilization has already just collapsed. and he's going to take what happened in the Valley Beyond and reapply it to this world, with the help of Maeve representing the hosts and Caleb representing the outliers. So it really sucks that now she is essentially dead. Maeve confirmed that Dolores' memory was wiped clean. And who are we other than the foundation of our memories? And Dolores is my absolute favorite character, so I want to hold on to hope that she could come back. And at this point, the only hope we have is Lawrence. He's the fifth pearl that Dolores ended up printing herself into. So even though Dolores is in a different body, she is still living inside of Lawrence. The one thing that I think is very different with Lawrence than with Charlotte is Charlotte Hale was based off of an actual person. So Charlotte ended up becoming more like that individual. Whereas Lawrence has no cornerstone to latch onto, to grow from. So I think if Dolores does come back from Lawrence's pearl, she'll be a little bit of a different character because she wouldn't share the exact perspective of Dolores of what happened in this season. But it's still a possibility. But the only question is, how much would Dolores change from living in Lawrence's body? But then the flip side of Dolores setting up the world to succeed, she also left behind a true villain, Charlotte. We saw in earlier episodes that Charlotte had a ruthless side to her, and she ended up identifying more with Charlotte Hale and clinging onto her life. I think the part of Charlotte that really latched on to Charlotte Hale's family was Dolores inside of her. And now that the family is dead, this Charlotte Hale is appealing more to the Wyatt side of Dolores, but she's also adapting and changing into Charlotte Hale, the actual person. And out of those two core beings, she's building herself to be something different. And I think it's clear at this point she has a totally different agenda than Dolores. She knows everything Dolores wanted to achieve. And I think what this Charlotte wants is complete human extinction. She embodies what everyone thought Dolores was. She even left her scar on her arm to remind her of how awful humanity is. So I think we'll see Maeve and Caleb go up against Charlotte in the next season. And Charlotte is preparing. William went on his little journey of saving the world and found himself meeting his own self, which I'm sure will do the opposite. Charlotte ended up creating the Man in Black, which is a complete reverse of who William decided to be. He decided to kill all of the hosts. So this Man in Black figure is going to kill all of the humans. A human hunter. He's become the figure that was in the movie. My one question with this scene is that Charlotte tells William that he's not that complicated, that he's very easy to replicate. And we see the Man in Black say exactly what William was saying, as if they have a perfect fidelity test. And I feel like that goes against everything they set up. They established that humans weren't that complicated because their core drive was survival. But then this season, Dolores discovered that humans have more depth to them and they're capable of change. That's the outlier. And William is an outlier as well. So why is it that William is so easy to create? And why does it seem like they have a complete 100% accurate fidelity test? Another thing as well is if this show is going to obey its own logic, then this Man in Black figure cannot be William. Because what we learned last season is if you create human consciousness, you cannot print it into flesh. They start malfunctioning, and they only last a couple of days. So I think it's clear to say that this character is a portrait of the Man in Black, not of William. And I made a video about how complicated William is as a character a couple days ago called The Door to Dolores, and I still think that that's potentially possible, because William is more than just the Man in Black. He played many characters. He played the white hat, being the billionaire philanthropist. He played the black hat, being the Man in Black to make the hosts suffer, to make them more real. So I think it's possible that we could see an actual fidelity, true William later in the show that is finally himself. Because William's been playing a character his whole life. But who knows at this point because William was killed. So his existence is now held upon memory. You only live as long as the last person who remembers you. And that's why I also have faith that Dolores could come back. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this episode. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And until next time, see you guys later.